What's going on, Ravens fans? We got a loaded show on today's program. We're going to start off. Bleacher Report gives us 3 Baltimore Ravens trade targets, 3 players they think the Ravens need to look at and discuss trading for in this offseason. We're going to break down who those are and what I think the Ravens should do. After that, we're going to get into our live mailbag right here on the Ravens Rundown. Your questions, my answers, favorite segment every single week. Don't jinx it, though. Do you want the Ravens to make a trade this offseason? If you do, hit that thumbs up button, like today's video. It is in your hands, okay? Don't jinx it, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to start taking action, do one big favor. Take some action yourself and like today's show. Starting off first, our Bleacher Report trade target is Javon Hargrave, defensive tackle last with the Minnesota Vikings. Very, very intriguing discussion right here surrounding Javon Hargrave, a guy who played in 16 games this last year with the Vikings. Had a lot of success, obviously. 52 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks, and a forced fumble. And I'm just going to give you a little bit of insider info right here. Of the 3 trade targets we're going to discuss on today's video, Javon Hargrave is easily the one I'd be most interested in. Obviously, it depends on that price, but I would be interested. Look, you got Travis Smith in that interior. Nnamdi Madubuike, based on what you've seen on social media over the last week or so, you assume he's going to be able to play in 2026. That's still not a guarantee. After that, you just don't really believe much in this Ravens interior defensive line. In fact, it was a massive, massive weakness in 2025. Adding a guy like Javon Hargrave to help in run defense, get you a little pass rush help every now and then, too, from the inside. Man, I think that'd be a great move. Jesse Minter needs to help the trenches out. That would be one thing to do it. After that, speaking of the trenches, let's talk about Kenny Clark, defensive tackle, formerly with the Dallas Cowboys, or most recently with the Dallas Cowboys, got traded to them for Micah Parsons from Green Bay. And I'm not going to say it was a step back of a season because I think it was better than a season he had in 2024, but he's still waiting to replicate what he was able to do in 2022 and in 2023. What got him that big contract, 7.5 sacks in that season. He's only had 4 sacks in his last 2 combined. I like Kenny Clark. I think Kenny Clark is a good player. However, this move is expensive in multiple ways. The first way is it's expensive to trade for Kenny Clark. You're going to have to give up some pretty good assets. The Dallas Cowboys are not just going to give you him for a 7th and a 6th round pick. You're going to have to give up some draft capital, maybe a player as well. And then once you get him into town, you're going to have to pay him a good bit. He's got a pretty hefty contract. And so, in my opinion, I look at the Ravens free agents. I see a lot of decently important players. To me, it makes more sense to keep those guys around than to trade draft capital and then sign Kenny Clark to a big contract or have him on a big contract when he has not been playing his best football as of recently. Last, Lukas Van Ness, edge rusher, currently with the Green Bay Packers. Can you tell what Bleacher Report thinks the Ravens' biggest weakness is? 3 defensive linemen. Let's talk about LVN. Only played 9 games this last year. Was dealing with some injury stuff. However, I would say it was the best year of his career. 3 tackles for loss in 9 games, a sack and a half, 0 forced fumbles, but 19 tackles for loss. Did play a decent bit of those games without Micah Parsons at the end of the season. But to be honest, I'm not interested, really, in Lukas Van Ness. I think he showed his true colors. He was a first-round pick in 2023. Everybody wants him to work out, especially there in Green Bay. But, I'm not trading for him, okay? Maybe I sign him if he gets cut next year, once his deal is done, and if he doesn't get signed and he hits free agency, yeah, you can maybe talk me into it then, but I'm not going to trade for Lukas Van Ness. Pick one to trade for those 3 guys. JH, KC, or LVN. Let me know your answer down below in the comment section. If I am you, if I'm watching this video, I will be typing JH, or I would be typing JH because I think Hargrave, out of those 3s, is the one that I'm going with. All right, let's get into our questions on today's show. €5 from Christian Malley with the Super Chat. Hi to everyone. How much impact the moves that Minter made will have in the new season? I think they will be incredibly impactful. I think, obviously, the most impactful move was getting Minter in. But I do think his hiring of Declan Doyle is really, really intriguing. How he's filled out the staff around Doyle. I think him being able to swing Anthony Weaver is great because you got a DC in here that has experience as a play caller, even though he's not going to be calling plays, Anthony Weaver, but also has experience in Jesse Minter's system because that's the same system that he runs. Played for Baltimore, coached in Baltimore, is back in Baltimore. Look, I just think they did a lot of great things with the coaching staff to be excited about. Now, next up is what do you do in free agency? What do you do in the draft? That's ultimately going to decide how this next season goes. Papa Shook, think the Ravens can finish top 10 in defense and offense next season under this new regime? Yes, I do. Because when you think about Jesse Minter, he has finished top 10 in defense in his last 2 stops with the Los Angeles Chargers. And like personnel-wise, I think they're very, very similar to Baltimore. Both teams have an elite safety, and they've got some good pieces outside of that. I would argue that Kyle Hamilton's a better safety than Derwin James is. But, I don't think you can just outright say the Chargers' defense, personnel-wise, is 10 times better than the Baltimore Ravens is. You can't say that because it's not true. And so if you're top 10, top 5 with LA, I would expect you, especially depending on what you add in free agency in the draft, if you get Nnamdi BK back, I'd expect you to be top 10 defensively. And as long as you have Lamar, Derrick Henry, and with the new play calling of Declan Doyle, I think you're going to be top 10 defensively as well. Something that's in my top 10 of things on this planet is our friends over at Prize Picks, and the big game is almost here. In fact, we are less than 24 hours away from Super Bowl Sunday, and there's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And since the big game is right around the corner, that also means it's your last chance to get into the football action before next season. So close the season out right with Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. This week, Prize Picks has a special max discount for the big game live in the app now. Drake May just needs 1 passing yard for the max discount to win. Just add another player to your lineup, and if your picks hit, you can cash in, join millions of users, and sign up for America's #1 sports picks app. Here is my lineup for the big game tomorrow. Of course, I did take advantage of that Drake May max discount. I would be silly not to. You would be silly not to. I took the less on Ramondre Stevenson rush yards and give me the more on Cooper Kupp 32.5 receiving yards. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Link to this promo is in the comments and description of today's video. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Ice asking a great question. How about Kenyon Sadiq? Man, I would be very interested in Kenyon Sadiq, but I just think you have too many big needs. But man, that dude's a star. That dude's going to be a player. If you trade away Mark Andrews and you have a need at tight end, you could talk me into Kenyon Sadiq. Outside of that, I think you got to go offensive line or defense/defensive line in the first round. Cards rundown coming in. Do you think EDC will sign George Pickens out of free agency? That's if he gets there, right? The Dallas Cowboys can easily franchise tag him, have him back for the 2026 season. But if he does get to free agency, I'm curious to see how the Ravens kind of approach that. My theory is, because the season he just had, it'd probably be a little bit too much money, but man, he would be special. And him and Lamar Jackson together, oh my goodness. It'd be a freak show. Minter Saves Us. Coming up next, how much do you think we'll have to pay Linderbaum to get him back next season? Well, great question. Spotrac projected that his contract is 4 years, $70 million. Gage, we have the List 10 logo of highest paid centers. I think we should have that somewhat soon, or somewhat close up to the top. So if you do the quick math on that, that's like what? $70 million divided by, that's like what, 15? No. $16 million? Just about? 17? That's it. Man. Yep, it's $17 million. Final case in point. Man, I'd be interested in that discussion. I really would. I think that Tyler Linderbaum is a very, very important piece to your offensive line. And I think that, you already have question marks on your guard spots, both of them. I would not like to have a question mark at the center position as well. I do think, though, if you get him to free agency, then he will be gone. You will get outbid. Arrow explained, Joey, always nice to catch these lives. How much cap space will we have next year? Right now we have $22 million in cap space. That's top half of the league. However, you can do some restructures, some cuts, some extensions, and you could open up a lot more. Like, it would not take the Ravens much to get to $100 million in cap space. So, very, very manipulative. Dylan Bauer, how do you feel about us getting rid of T. Martin? So, this is being filmed on Wednesday, same day that T. Martin was announced to not be retained. I've got mixed opinions. Number one, I hate it because Lamar and him are very, very close, and I am in the camp of keep Lamar Jackson happy. But additionally, I do realize this is Declan Doyle's staff. This is Jesse Minter's team. I want those guys to be able to hire and have on their staff who they want to have there. Jonathan Diaz, Hendrickson is a possible free agent target we could go after, and I think it's a good move because of how young our edge rushers are. And with bringing in more in the draft, we need a vet. Yeah, that's a good move for those reasons. My only, pushback on Trey Hendrickson is the fact that he's a 31-year-old edge rusher that pretty much missed the entirety of last year with back problems. That scares me a little bit. 31 years old, back problems, that position. For what he's probably going to get paid, I don't know, man. I don't love it. I'll be honest. LaMarvelous Miles. Do you think Lamar will consider a lower salary if the Ravens and EDC get him some linemen? No. No. This is the NFL. He's a quarterback. He's a human. Like think about it in your job, LaMarvelous, if you have one. Let's just say you're an accountant, right? And you're on one big tax team. And you got guys who work in audit. You got guys who work in tax. That's like asking somebody on the tax team, hey, would you take a pay cut if we added more guys that are beneficial to the team and the audit side? No, you're not going to do that. It's not going to happen. Do you think the Ravens should trade up for Jeremiah Love, Notre Dame, or Mansour Delaney? No and no. I don't think so. I think they'll probably, if anything, I think the Ravens are going to trade down. I don't think trade up for Jeremiah Love. Sure, it'd be an awesome 1-2 punch, but running back is not a massive top 5 need. Cornerback is a top 3 need, I think, but I think not as big as offensive line or defensive line. Futmer Merchant, for our last question of the day, do you think Chuck Pagano will stay? No, I don't think so. Chuck Pagano was a John Harbaugh hire, John Harbaugh friend, used to be the DC for Baltimore under John Harbaugh. I don't think Chuck Pagano is going to stay around for Jesse Minter. And frankly, I don't think he should. I think Jesse Minter just needs to get all the guys Jesse Minter wants to get in the building. We're going to get out of here, but appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. Hope you're enjoying your Saturday. We will be back early tomorrow. Going to get that video out before Super Bowl Sunday really gets going. So make sure you have those notifications on. Subscribe. Follow me on socials. And we'll see you next time.